There are some faces that become famous, and then there are faces that become unforgettable. Gigi Hadid is one of them. For years, her image has appeared on magazine covers, fashion campaigns, billboards, and some of the biggest runways in the world. She became one of the most recognizable models of her generation. But behind the glamorous photographs and flashing cameras is a story that is far more complicated than it appears. A story about ambition, pressure, family, rejection, success, and the struggle to build an identity in an industry where being famous is not always enough. Gigi Hadid was born into a family that was already connected to the world of fashion and entertainment. That connection opened doors, but it also created expectations, because when everyone expects you to succeed, proving yourself can become even harder. So how did a girl from California become one of the most successful models of the modern fashion era? And what really happened behind the scenes? This is the story of Gigi Hadid. Jelena Noura Hadid, better known to the world as Gigi Hadid, was born on April 23, 1995, in Los Angeles, California. She grew up in Malibu, surrounded by a family that was already familiar with public attention. Her mother, Yolanda Hadid, had worked as a model. Her father, Mohammed Hadid, became known as a real estate developer. And Gigi grew up alongside her younger brother Anwar and her younger sister Bella. Today, both Gigi and Bella are internationally recognized models, but their childhood wasn't simply about fashion. Gigi was also passionate about horses. Horse riding became an important part of her life, and for a time, she had ambitions of competing professionally in equestrian sports. It was a completely different dream from the world of fashion, but life had other plans. At a young age, Gigi was discovered by Guess co-founder Paul Marciano. But eventually, she stepped away from modeling for image and the pressure placed on women in the fashion industry. Her appearance changed over the years. And instead of simply accepting those changes as part of being human, the internet often turned them into discussions. This reveals something important about modern celebrity culture. The public doesn't simply watch celebrities anymore. It watches them constantly, and social media can make that pressure feel impossible to escape. For Gigi, Learning how to handle criticism became part of becoming a public figure. But perhaps the biggest challenge was not simply being famous, it was proving that she was more than her famous last name. Gigi Hadid was born into privilege. That is a fact. Her mother was a former model. Her father was successful. She had access to opportunities that many aspiring models could only dream about. And because of that, she was often labeled a nepo baby. The criticism wasn't entirely surprising, but there is an important distinction between having an opportunity and being able to maintain success. Fashion is an industry where careers can disappear quickly. One season you're everywhere. The next season, the industry may have moved on. Gigi managed to remain relevant for years. She worked with some of the world's biggest fashion houses. She became one of the most recognizable models of her generation, and eventually, she began creating opportunities beyond modeling. That longevity became part of her answer to the criticism. Her family may have helped her get noticed, but maintaining a global career required much more than an introduction. It required discipline, professionalism, adaptability, and the ability to survive in an industry that constantly searches for the next new face. One of the most interesting parts of Gigi's story is her relationship with her sister, Bella Hadid. Both sisters entered the modeling industry, both became international stars, and both eventually developed their own identities. At first glance, it might seem like they were competitors. Two sisters, two models, the same fashion industry, the same photographers, the same runways, but their careers developed in different directions. Gigi became known for her commercial appeal, versatility, and Bella developed a reputation for her distinctive high-fashion look and strong runway presence. Instead of destroying their relationship, their careers often seemed to create a unique kind of partnership. They understood an experience that few other siblings could. The pressure of being watched by millions of people, the pressure of constantly being photographed, and the challenge of building an identity when your family is already famous. Their story became one of the most recognizable sibling partnerships in modern fashion. But Gigi Hadid's ambitions eventually expanded beyond simply being photographed. She began exploring fashion from the other side: design, creative collaborations, business, brand building. One of her notable projects was her collaboration with Tommy Hilfiger, where she became involved not only as a model, but also in the design process. This represented an important evolution. Instead of simply wearing clothes created by designers, Gigi was becoming involved in creating them. That shift reflected a larger trend in fashion. Models were becoming brands themselves. Their audience could follow them beyond the runway. They could sell products, create collaborations, build businesses, and influence what millions of people wanted to wear. Gigi understood that the modern model didn't have to remain only a model. She could become an entrepreneur, designer, media personality, and creative figure. Today, Gigi Hadid represents something larger than just a successful modeling career. She represents the transformation of the fashion industry itself. The traditional supermodel once depended almost entirely on magazines, agencies, and photographers. A modern supermodel can build a direct relationship with millions of people, and Gigi became one of the clearest examples of that transition. But perhaps the most interesting part of her story is that success didn't erase the challenges. The criticism remained, the pressure remained, the expectations remained, and fame continued to come with a price. Yet she continued moving forward. From a young girl who loved horses in California, to a teenager discovering modeling, to a young woman entering New York's fashion world, and eventually to one of the most recognizable faces in the industry. Gigi Hadid's journey wasn't simply about becoming famous. It was about learning how to remain relevant in a world that is constantly looking for someone new. And maybe that's what makes her story worth telling. Because behind every perfect runway photograph is a person, behind every magazine cover is a journey, and behind every famous name are years of decisions, pressure, mistakes, opportunities, and hard work. Gigi Hadid didn't simply enter the fashion industry. She became part of the generation that helped redefine what a modern supermodel could be, and her story is still being written. Sometimes the hardest part of becoming a star isn't getting noticed, it's staying there. And Gigi Hadid has spent more than a decade proving that she belongs in the conversation, not just as a model, but as a global fashion icon. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe to Modelora for more untold stories, iconic careers, and the real journeys behind the world of fashion.